Ooh, Raindrops. We have Raindrops' favorite, Reality with the King favorite, and one of my favorite people in the entire world. This is a true statement, by the way. We talk all the time. We text all the time. We break news to each other first before we tell y'all. I am talking about my good friend, People Magazine editor, New York Times best-selling author, Not All Diamonds and Rosé, which is also available on paperback. So go pick it up if you haven't read it already. Of course, I'm talking about the amazing and the very credible Walter Cronkite. I'm sorry, Dave Quinn.
What? Oh my goodness. Everyone needs Carlos King as their hype man. I'm just saying, it is the most incredible feeling. And I feel the same about you. Congratulations. Every time I turn, another hit news show on the way. I'm so excited for Love and Marriage Detroit.
I know! My hometown. Can you believe it?
Set the DVR. I am going to be there. I can't wait. Congratulations on continued success. And I'm so happy to be here again.
Listen, you know I love having you. Let me tell y'all something. Dave is so busy. He doesn't know this. I'd be like, I want Dave to come on today, but I feel like I don't want to take advantage of our friendship by like saying, I know you have tons of job. He's on tour. Instead of the Renaissance tour, he's on a Housewives tour with the New York girls. Yes, I'm talking about TLC, Ramona, Dorinda, and Luann, which is the trifecta. So I'm always like, Carlos, you need to leave Dave alone. He has a life outside of you, bitch.
You are my number one. I promise I'll push the life aside just to hang with you anytime. And yeah, that was our Beyonce Renaissance tour, although tickets were a little bit more available. You could get a ticket. It was not the Beyonce tour. But I sure felt like Beyonce. Running those crazies. I loved every minute of it. And we're going to probably go out for a couple more dates. We're talking all about this. And there's another show we're going to be announcing soon that has nothing to do with those ladies, but some more housewives. So I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun to come see us live.
Oh, I have to come, honey. So listen, I'm going to text you on the side. Listen, I can't afford it, Dave, but can I please get free tickets? Because
yes. Oh gosh, yes. You are definitely coming. Are you kidding me?
Okay, good.
Always on the list.
All right, so let's just get into that. So I'm going to tease you Raindrops a little bit. We have to talk about breaking news of Real Housewives of New Jersey, Caroline Manzo, saying that she allegedly knows who called the feds on Joe and Teresa. So make sure you stay tuned so that Dave and I can talk about that. In addition to, I have a statement from Jacqueline Laurita about what was said on this podcast that I'm going to read live to Dave Quinn, and we're going to dissect that. So don't touch the dial. I feel like Howard Stern. Don't touch the dial. Stay tuned. We'll get into that. But first things first, another breaking news. Dave Quinn, we got to talk about it. Real Housewives of New York City reboot and the trailer. Now, I'm going to be very honest. When I heard about the reboot, I was like, When I saw the cast, I was like, When I saw the little promo of the Apple, I'm like, where is Ramona when you need her? But then I saw the super trailer, and baby, I think we may be in store for what looks like a fascinating season. But Dave, let's talk about the Real Housewives of New York City reboot. And what was your thoughts when you saw the trailer that you posted?
I watched it a few times, I have to say, because I was trying to find dissect every little moment. This is what happens with Bravo fans. I'm sure if you're listening, you do the exact same thing. You start watching them over and over again to see which pieces of the trailer match, see what's the chronological order, what are they really fighting about versus what does the edit of the trailer make it look like they're fighting about. I do feel like there was a lot of clever stitching in that trailer to make things seem a little bit more dramatic than perhaps they really are. However, I don't need drama. And I was saying this on Twitter. I think that the show has fallen into this trap of having to give us some sort of explosive, like your husband's cheating, or you were, even they have this moment in the trailer of like you're flirting with a married man. I don't really care about that. That's not what I'm looking for in Housewives. I want to go back to the nonsense. I want to go back to the silly, petty little, you didn't invite me to a party and I'm mad at you for it, or I don't like the way you spoke to me, and that's little thing about nothing. So the thing about the trailer that made me excited was when they were like accusing Jenna of not wanting to go on the trip because she had to fly coach. I was like, yes, that is
That's
petty,
what you like.
that is
Yes.
silly, that is stupid. I can latch onto that, and I'm really excited about it. All the other stuff I don't need. So I liked what I was getting from that silliness.
Yes, no, I agree with you. And listen, the thing is this, because I had very low, like extremely low, like Chateau Charade season 4 house low, like low in the ground with the dirt low.
Never Neverland low. Yeah, I get it.
Where Phaedra and Candy went to visit, and Phaedra told Sheree at the reunion, I saw dirt and grass. So that's how low my expectations were for this Real Housewives of New York City reboot, because listen, I am of the old school era of the originals. I love the OGs from Bethany all the way down to Lulu, right? So I would say, because my expectations were low, I was pleasantly surprised that it seemed like, okay, they have personality. There's personal story going on, right? Like you said, with the husbands and just the family life that I felt like was always missing from reality television, especially the new housewives. Y'all can read me if you want to. I know people love Sutton, and I actually like Sutton a lot. I would love to see Sutton family, her children. I know her husband or maybe her children don't want to be on the show. And I feel like if that's the case, it's a huge disservice to the audience. So when I saw that personal story was happening on the reboot and the fashion was fashioning, hey, Sheba Sheree, I was like, okay, this could be something. But people are saying this, though, Dave, due to a lot of people's excitement about the trailer. They're now asking, should every city that's in trouble have a reboot to where they wipe out the cast and have a fresh new group of women?
Absolutely not. And in fact, one of the things that I really learned when I was writing the book was that early on, that was a thought process when it came to Housewives. When they were starting to build it, they thought, well, we'll do it like the real world. So we'll have, the New York season with these women, and then next season we'll bring back a totally different group of women and do it again. I'm glad they didn't do that. I like the longevity. I want to know who these people are. I still think that the reboot of New York City was a mistake. Even if this is good, I still think it was a silly
Tell me
decision.
why.
Well, I just don't see, looking at Jenna Lyons, why can't I see Jenna Lyons with Luann, and Dorinda? And I think it was the nature of what was happening in the world. People were losing their minds, stuck at home. I think the network hastily reacted to outrage that didn't really exist from the voices of a few and not the viewers of many. And I think that they were still fixing it. I think that, they may have been angry at things that were happening behind the scenes and just didn't want to deal with it and rushed into this. But decisions were made far too quick. Ebony is, I still think, a very great housewife, but she shouldn't have been the only one that season. They should have brought in 3 or 4 other women, and it should have been a gradual switch over. And New York has made these hasty decisions in the past. We all saw what happened with season 4, the reckoning, and it doesn't always play out. How dreadful. So I don't know. I want the more investment in the in new women, and in order to do that, I think we need to see them mix with the old. I'm excited about some of these ladies, but I can't imagine that everyone is a star. I mean, and I say that kindly. It's just the way it works, right? Like, they're not all stars.
Well, look, I think we have to wait and see, because I said this on my podcast. I am going to watch the first episode. I'm committed to watching the first episode. I cannot promise I'm going to watch the entire season. And the example that I'll give is I watched the first episode of Dubai, The Real Housewives of Dubai.
Mhm.
And I went, bye-bye. And I just, and listen, it wasn't that the first episode wasn't great. And this is coming from me, somebody who, like you, Dave, love reality shows, love the Housewives brand. And I'm going to say this, and it may sound shocking. So gear up. I watched the first episode of The Real Housewives of Dubai, and I remember saying to my boyfriend, like, oh, I like them. Okay. And then the second episode, I forgot to watch. And because I wasn't invested in these new women from this big brand, I did not care to return. And I wonder if a lot of people felt that way. And it goes to show you that, again, my opinion, I am invested in what I know and in who I know. So when you create a whole new cast, it's not that, like you said, it's not that these women aren't stars or are stars. It's just more so, do I care to invest my time in a whole new group of women for 12 weeks of my life?
I get that. Yeah, I totally understand it. And listen, there's a plethora of television to go in with and a plethora of housewives. We are oversaturated at the moment. I didn't feel the same way about Dubai. I was shout out Emmy winner Glenda Cox. Her editing on that first season, and especially that first episode, felt so rich and exciting, and I was really drawn in. I do think that history will show that Dubai is much more Potomac than it is Dallas, and we will look back at Dubai season 1 and it will feel like Potomac season 1. I do think that there's lots of stars in that cast that will carry us through, and I've heard the next season is delightful. But listen, to each their own. New York, I'm excited to invest in some of these women. Brynn, for me, feels like a star. Sai, for me, feels like a star. Jenna is going to be, of course, interesting to watch. I kind of am looking forward to seeing what the dynamics are, but would I be surprised if season 15, right? This is 13. Yeah, this is 14. Yeah. So would I be surprised if season 15 introduces some of our familiar faces back into the mix? No.
Oh, wait. I never thought about that.
Like, if this doesn't do well, let's say that it's not really clicking, and let's say Legacy does really well, the Housewives Girls Trip Legacy. Why wouldn't they bring Luann on the show, and Dorinda, and possibly Ramona, Sonia? Like, why wouldn't that core four, if you will, they all kind of seem like they would fit in well? I don't know. I could see it happening.
No, and I think it's a genius idea if it happens. And again, when I heard about the announcement, I had Ebony as my first guest on this very podcast. And I said to her, I think the reboot should be on Peacock and the Legacy should be on Bravo because we're invested. And Peacock is not a diss. Real Housewives of Miami, in my opinion, is successful. It's successful because, yes, the show is good and the cast is tens across the board. But I think the show being on Peacock did not allow it to have the same pressures as the other Housewives on Bravo. And I think the New York reboot should have been on Peacock to give it that same sort of setup. Because look, New York is going to come on after the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
That's big. That is big. They've never been on Sunday nights like this.
No.
That's huge.
It's huge, but also very risky because I don't think the Atlanta audience is also the New York audience. But depending on the direction of this cast, we shall see. But Raindrops, let me know if you're into or not into the reboot of The Real Housewives of New York City. Me and Dave are going to watch it. And Dave, I'm putting on the spot. I'm going to invite you back on the show so that you and I can recap the first episode.
Yes, 100%. Start spreading the news. I'll be there.
Yes, spread the news, honey. The other news that you spread, okay, not your legs to marry men, but you spread some other news. Hey, Nene. Honey, the Real Housewives of New York City Legacy being the 5th installment of Ultimate Girls Trip. I peed my pants. I did a cartwheel. I was so excited, still am. We're talking about Ramona Singer, Kelly Bensimon, Luann, Kristen, Sonia. That's it, right? Or am I missing anybody?
Luann, Ramona, Sonia,
Dorinda.
Yeah. Kelly and Kristen. So 6.
A+, 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 A+. I love Kelly Bensimon. I fell in love with her when she was jogging down Central Park Avenue in her setup scene to her intro card. I'm looking forward to seeing this cast. I think it's a genius idea, but you broke the news, so tell us all about it.
Well, it's really exciting. You know, it's been very well publicized that they were trying to do this legacy show that would have been a little bit more substantial, that we would have seen sort of a longer mix. And Jill, if you remember, there was Jill Zarin was supposed to be in that mix, and that really all fell apart during discussions and negotiations of contracts. And it was very public. I mean, everybody talked about it on that cast pretty much in a public manner. And I think this is the better choice, because the truth is, this is what I want to see. And I want Ramona in the mix. Even if I don't like her, I want Ramona in the mix. You know, if I'm like watching as a viewer and there are things that she's saying that I find annoying, I still want to see her. I still feel like she's part of the mix. And I think this will work much better as a viewing experience. I certainly, as you may know, I was on tour with the women, as you said earlier, and they were all talking about it before the news had been announced. They were all planning what they were going to wear to upfronts and how they were going to handle it. They were all discussing their feelings about, you know, seeing some old faces that they hadn't seen in a while. Kristen Takeman.
Who allegedly Ramona doesn't remember. Continue.
I know, I'm obsessed with that. But, you know, and I could see what it's going to be like. You know, I could see it in there. I was saying to them, well, we have to see the pirate, don't you think? And they were like, oh, I wonder if the pirate will come back. And I was like, and the viewers are going to want this, don't you think? You know, like I said to Ramona, well, surely Kristen's going to talk about the fact that you threw a glass at her. Yes! She's like, no, she's not. She's not going to bring that up. I was like, yeah, she is. Like, we're going to talk about that.
Absolutely.
Like, absolutely. But, you know, there were a lot of names in the mix of who could have been invited to this trip. And I think it's interesting why others said no. Like that's fascinating to me.
Question for you, because you and I both know when it comes to Bravo, it's best to say nothing.
It's true.
Versus putting your opinion out there at times. Me and Dave know that personally. So, with that being said, well, maybe I do.
No, I do.
Okay, so we both do. Okay, we both do. It's all fun. Okay. Jill Zarin went on a radio show and pretty much revealed that she wanted to make sure that every cast member got paid the same amount of money. We call that in the business favorite nations. Everybody makes the same money. She felt that I don't care if I wasn't on the show long as Ramona, I deserve the same amount as Ramona. We now see that Jill Zarin is not going to be on this Ultimate Girls Trip. Was she asked back or did she turn it down?
From what I understand, she wasn't asked.
Do you think it had to do with?
I don't work for Bravo, just to be clear, but that's what I understand, that she was not asked for this, is what I've heard. Yeah.
Do you think it has to do with her revealing too much information about the financials of the business and the deal?
Yeah. And again, no one said that to me directly, but yeah. No. My dog is barking because even my dog agrees. My dog is like, yeah.
Yeah. And for the record, I met Jill Zarin. Did I tell you this story, Dave?
No.
I was doing Heather McDonald's live show in New York City during BravoCon.
Oh, nice.
And Jill Zarin came backstage because she knows Heather McDonald.
They're
And
close.
Heather said, "This is Carlos King." And she said, "Oh, you're Carlos King." And I said, "Does that mean something?" She said, "Oh, yes, it does."
Oh
But
my
Dave,
gosh.
listen, she was so nice. Her daughter was there with her man. Her doggy was, I mean,
Yeah.
Jill's beautiful. She was so sweet. And I was like, and she said, "Should I do Legacy?" And I said, "Bitch, absolutely, you should do Legacy." Like, duh. But anyways, I said all that to say, when she said, "Oh, you're Carlos King," it made me think. I said, I wonder if she knows who I am, primarily because of my interview with Ramona,
Oh, that could be it.
where Ramona said to me in my exclusive with her that she was not interested in doing Legacy because she called it the loser show. And
That made
Andy,
headlines.
it may, oh,
That made some headlines. I think I may have written one of those headlines.
I
That
was
made some
gonna say,
headlines.
I think People Magazine may have had the exclusive. I'm not too sure.
Sorry. It's a good quote, Ramona. She's a quote machine.
Oh, so much so, Andy Cohen revealed in his book that when he heard her call the show Loser Legacy, he wasn't too happy about it. Now, I've said publicly there was no RHONY without Ramona. And I'm happy that everybody has seen that it is true. Even you said it. Whatever happened, it happened. You need Ramona. Do you think it's fair that Ramona is back on the show when some people are saying she's problematic? You know, Ebony has alleged a few things about her on her podcast. Ramona addressed that on my podcast. We don't have to get into it. Just listen to my episode with Ramona. But do you think all of that taken into account, should Ramona be back on Legacy?
I take it all into account. I understand the feelings about it all. And again, there are things that have been alleged about her that are really difficult for anyone, I think, to wrap their head around. But I don't need to look into a mirror when I watch reality TV. I prefer to look into a window. I want to see things that are not in my life and that are not reflections of who I am. I want to see different things. So I don't need to condone her beliefs in life. I just want to see what she's doing.
Yeah, and for the record, an investigation was launched and they found nothing. That's
Yeah, so
that's not my opinion. It's not your opinion. That's
no.
the fact. And again, it's just what was uncovered due to an investigation being launched, and apparently nothing was founded. So, with that
Right.
being said, if you do an investigation, nothing came out of it, then in my opinion, you should be able to move on and move forward. And I think Ebony and Ramona have both moved forward in their lives. And I'm just saying, to see Ramona back in the mix with these ladies excites me. And that is why I am going to watch every single episode, because if we're going to get Scary Island 2.0, baby, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I will say though, I really do wish Jill was a part of it.
Yes.
And I think that Jill is incredible television. I think that she again, we all remember season 1, 2, 3, 4 Jill, and that's what we're thinking of when we're talking about Jill. And that's what I want to see. I want to see sort of her in the mix with those ladies, those old relationships, Ramona crying on the bed in Morocco after they got into a fight, right? Like there's history
Yes.
there, and we haven't really seen the Ramona Luann Jill trifecta relationship explored. I know they were all living for a time in New York, either in the same building or right around one another. And there's a lot that I'm interested in. But, you know, I do think that Jill's conversations about the financial negotiations that the network would much prefer to keep private was her downfall in that situation. And again, I'm just guessing this, but I don't even necessarily think that her financial negotiations were the reason Legacy fell apart. I just think they don't like that she was saying that it was the reason Legacy fell apart.
Agreed.
Yeah, like I think that there
Agreed.
was probably way bigger reasons that Legacy fell apart than you and I will ever know about. But I don't think it was a good idea for her to go and spill that information. And look, she's doing great. She has another reality show coming that she's going to be on, the GOAT show. Have you heard about this?
No, another Dave Quinn exclusive.
No, this has been out. This isn't an
Okay.
exclusive, but there's a show called I think it's the GOAT, and they're looking for the greatest reality show star of all time, and she's in the mix of competitors. It's a competitive reality show.
Is this a Peacock situation?
It's not an NBC. I think it's, oh, I know, it's Amazon Freevee. No, that's when the editor of Housewives would edit in the cricket sound. And this is no shade to Amazon Freevee. It was
No,
just
I love Amazon Freebie. I
was
pitched
just-
those to them. No, I
it
love
was
that.
just Carlos trying to process it. Like I could see him
That's
being
what
like,
it was.
wait, Amazon Freevee? That's what, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's got another show, and I do not think that we'll see the last of Jill Zarin anywhere, believe me. But maybe if they do Legacy New York 2, we'll see her again.
Jill, I know you're listening. Listen up, baby. This is when you maybe should have DM'd me, because I would have given you some advice. Ramona came on my podcast and said her truth that was very spicy, but she got it out her system. Even she's back on the show. Jill, listen, Amazon Freebie is great. I love Jeff Lewis show, right? And I pitched to them, hey, Amazon, you will always be known as a housewife. And if you want to have staying power in this unscripted business, you have to know that what Dave just said so eloquently, you should have thought about the bigger picture of the world seeing you and Ramona and Luann back together, and what that could have done for your bookings, what it could have done for your businesses. Because even seeing you on season 2 of Ultimate Girls Trip, this is no shakes. I love Jill. Jill, in the words of Kim Kardashian to Kourtney Kardashian and Barker, you were the least exciting to look at. Like, it to me, it was all about the rest of them than you. And to me, that installment did nothing for you. It did nothing for you. But this could have. So I'm a little disappointed that you decided to go on Jeff Lewis show, spill all the tea, honey, and then not be invited back to a home that I would say you helped build. My opinion, and there we have it.
And there are a lot of other, alums from the New York world that I think that fans are itching to see Tinsley again on TV. I think fans would have loved it if Aviva came on this trip. But, I mean, come on. But I know that there are hurdles to all of them. I think Tinsley is in a very happy place in her life and likely does not want to deal with being put face to face with Dorinda again and having to deal with all that. I think
is she still with that Chicago guy?
No, they are no longer together.
Thank God.
There was a lot of dark things that happened, I think, towards the end of that relationship, and I'm sure she doesn't want to look back on any of that. And I also think that Aviva is not going to get on a plane. We know she hates small planes, so I'm sure that has to do with it. Again, she's one of those people who kind of relatively has been unscathed by this. The fans remember the leg throw. They have a lot of fun with it, but it hasn't really ruined her. Sometimes there could be a darkness to Housewives that follows them like a villain in a horror movie, when they think they've escaped and they're safe in their apartment, the hand comes out of the closet to grab them back. And I think that Aviva and Tinsley have both kind of stayed away from it now that they're pretty unscathed. So coming back into the bullpen is difficult. Just ask Heather Thompson. I don't think coming back for 13 did her any favors in the long run. But if she hadn't, don't you think she would have been invited to this girls trip?
Yes,
I
and that's
do.
what I'm saying about Jill. So, yes, so to your point, listen, as a reality creator and producer of shows, I like you thirsty. So I don't mind you wanting it as bad as I do, right? We're all thirsty, like, yes, please do it. But you always got to pick the right opportunity for you. So to your point, when Heather Hala Thompson decided to go back to New York, it wasn't a good choice. It
Yeah.
was not a good choice. And you could have been back on Legacy. And I'm going to say something controversial. And I have no idea how Dave is about to respond to this. So I'm just going to like say it anyway. I'm going to wing it. I would have liked to see Carole Radziwill back.
Oh my God! Of course, I would have loved to see Carole Radziwill. Carole Radziwill would have been incredible, and I think that that's another case of perhaps the network not feeling really happy with her exit and what happened around her exit, and maybe holding a little bit of a grudge there. Because I would have loved to see her on it, and I don't really think that she would have been that hard to convince. And I don't
Me
mean that
neither.
as no, I don't mean that as any slight to Carole. I think that Carole understands and is smart enough to know what the benefits of doing something like this could have been. I think Carole is an incredible housewife. She was a beautiful voice of reason on that show. Very
Yes,
funny. I still think that she kind of won in the end of that argument at that season 10 reunion. I think that she kind of still was the victor. And
absolutely. I
and
became a
listen,
Carole fan after watching that. No shade.
and listen, like again, I love Bethany, I love Andy, but like that moment when she said, "Are you afraid of her too, Andy?" That's iconic. That's iconic. That's iconic. It's great. It's
You're
great.
so full of shit. I was like, and listen,
The balls, you have to respect it. You have to be like, fuck yeah, that's what I want. I want someone who's gonna do that. Let's give it reality.
Carole, listen, what we learned in Andy's new book is the fact that I guess you mistakenly text them or, oh no, what's the story, Dave? Did he call her accidentally or did she call him accidentally or text or something?
I'm totally
Oh, you don't know the story?
I don't know the story because I haven't
Oh
read
my,
the book yet.
oh, I mean, I haven't either, honey. I'm just,
Okay, I haven't read it. I haven't seen anything. What happened?
oh, honey, okay. I have a legal note. Okay, hold on.
Okay, hold on. Sunny Hostin has a legal note.
Okay, so I'm going to read to you exactly what happened. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm pulling it up. This is happening in real time, which I love. You know, I love this shit. Okay,
I love it too.
so, okay, let me scroll. Okay, wait.
And I promise, just side note, I am going to read the book. I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Oh no, same here. I'm just trying to like find
It's been
it.
busy. It's been a week. I've been
Yes.
exhausted.
Okay.
I've been traveling. I've been to rehab. I've been to prison. A lot's going on.
Are you Jen Shaw? Like, what's going on?
No. That was my Luann impression.
Oh, shoot. Carlos, step your game up, baby. Okay.
It's okay.
Okay,
I should have
now.
dropped my octave down lower.
Ooh. Yes, Dave. Okay. Is it? I'm trying. Why? It's funny. I can't even. I'm looking for it in real time. Oh God, this is so. You know what's so funny? You don't know about it because People Magazine did not cover.
We didn't cover it.
And what's funny is I read it in some blog. So okay, listen. I was going to tell you what happened. He mentioned in his book that either he butt dialed her or she butt dialed him. Something happened, and they had a very awkward conversation that led to nowhere. So my hope was that the reality gods saying these two, because they used to be friends, these two former friends, get your shit together and make amends because we want to see Carole back on the show. So Carole, me and Dave are rooting for you. You were a great housewife. You are the first housewife who's a journalist. Portia is second. and we want you back in the fold, okay?
Amen. That's what I want. I think she'd be fantastic.
All right. So the moment you've been waiting for.
Oh my gosh.
Breaking news.
My heart has been beating out of my chest since you said that, by the way.
What?
Just so you know.
Oh,
since you teased this. Since you teased this text message.
Here we go. Real Housewives of New Jersey alum, Caroline Griselda Blanco Manzo. I love her. Caroline knows I love her. I love you, Caroline. I love you, Caroline. Caroline and her daughter, Lauren Manzo. Hey, Lauren. They were at an event where they were speaking on a panel. And Caroline alleged that she is not the one who called the FBI or the feds, how you want to pronounce it, on Teresa and Joe, but she knows who did, and that the reason why she's not going to reveal it is because she's not a rat, and that she refuses to ever talk about it, mention the names, but she wanted to set the record straight that it was not her. Dave Quinn, what are your thoughts on it? Because people are saying, okay, was it allegedly Teresa's brother and sister-in-law? Was it allegedly a Manzo person? Was it somebody in the neighborhood? Was it somebody at Gia's old dance school? A pageant mom? Who is it?
Kim
What do you
D,
think about all of this?
Kim D, Kim G, Kim F, Kim C. It could have been anyone.
These are strong accusations.
Yeah, I wish it was the first time I heard that news, but it wasn't, because she actually said that when I was interviewing her for the book, and it was one of the things that didn't make it in. I don't know if I ever told you this, Carlos, but like the first chapter I handed into the publisher, which was Orange County, the biggest season, right? It had been on for 15 years at that time. So we had the most material with Orange County. And I started with OC because I wanted to get an idea of sort of what a chapter would look like. That first chapter was 300 pages long.
What?
Because there was so much information and I went into so much depth about everything. And really, each topic was very fleshed out and very deep and from multiple perspectives. And we obviously, at that time, I tried to say to my publisher, like, I think you guys need to do multiple books. I don't think this is one book. I think you should do this as, 3 or 4 franchise chunks and really make it. But obviously I didn't win because nobody wanted to listen to me. So we cut it back. And this was one of the things that got cut on the in the pages, was Caroline saying this, that while she was not the one who did it, she knows who did. I will say Caroline isn't a rat, because I bribed her with a lot of cheese and got nowhere. She would not tell me what the answer was and the reasoning behind it. And boy, do I wish I knew. But I will say that I don't really think that even if someone tipped them off, I would be surprised if the feds weren't already in on it. I don't think that, I don't know. I don't think the feds didn't know that this was happening. And while devastating for their family, of course, this is similar to what was going around about Jen Shah, when people were saying, oh, I think they were accusing Meredith of tipping off the feds. And at the end of the day, we have to say, like, well, isn't that a good thing if they did a crime and somebody was like reporting a crime? I mean, morally, aren't we supposed to be trying to live honestly? And if somebody was scamming out a bunch of people like Jen Shah was doing to these victims, isn't it good that somebody blew the whistle on that?
Dave, honey, I love you because you put things into a totally different perspective. I never even allowed my mind to go there, but you're making a lot of sense in terms of that being the reason, in terms of listen, if somebody did that, is that a good or bad thing? And I want my audience to weigh in and answer that. So obviously, one thing you said that is interesting. Look, even if you tip someone off, and again, I don't work in the FBI, I don't know anything about the feds, or
No.
I don't know anything about all of this.
I don't even watch the CBS FBI show, whatever it's called. I don't watch that show.
CSI?
Or whatever FBI show is on, I don't even watch it. So I really know nothing.
I know nothing. I like I said, I only watch Griselda Blanco's Lifetime movies. So that's my gangsta fed sort of like education. But it's to me, and again, call me ignorant, but I'm gonna say how I feel. The feds and the IRS to me are the same in the sense of it doesn't take a phone call to make an immediate arrest. You know, like you can't call the IRS and say this person owes you. That you have to do some due diligence. There has to be a diligence period if that's the case. So that's why I do understand where you're coming from in terms of, now look, could they've already been on track in terms of finding something and the phone call sort of helped them confirm things? Sure. But if Caroline is saying that she knows the people or person who called the feds on Teresa, how soon thereafter were arrests made? Because that to me determines if they were already on the tails of Joe, right? Or did this person who tipped them off made the feds do their due diligence? So that to me is what's so interesting about the accusation and the timeline in which Joe and Teresa obviously were arrested. And
yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if I feel like this came up while we were discussing Strippergate. So it may have been around that timing, which by that time,
4.
Yeah. So by that time, because remember that happened in 4, which was filming consecutively with 3, which is why Jacqueline didn't show up to 3. But by that time, there was already, the backyard scene with Jacqueline and Teresa, the tabloids that had been reporting about this, the rumors of is she going to jail. So if that call happened then, it may have only been to strengthen a case, not to start the case.
Right.
All this to be said, like, and this is really hard because, again, I really like Teresa. I really like Caroline. I care about these people. I want good things to happen to them in their lives. And what happened to Teresa was really difficult, and it obviously broke apart a family. And he is still not back in the United States, and that was really hard. And she went to prison, and there was time away from her family, and her parents passed away afterwards. Lots of tragedy. But looking at her now, she's seemingly, from what she has said, very happy in her marriage, and her relationship seems to be in a very good place. So perhaps the challenges that we face in life make us stronger and set us up for the things that we're really supposed to be going through, and really where we're supposed to be in life. And maybe one day she'll look back on the fact that somebody may have called the feds and tipped them off as a good thing because it helped her.
I don't think she'll ever see that.
No, she won't. I know. But I know that's crazy. I know. But I would encourage her to feel that way. I'm sure she would not listen. But
so the thing is this.
Fix it, Jesus.
Jesus, right. Hey, Phaedra, fix it, Jesus. I will say this. If the person or persons who made this call happens to be in her family, as somebody who has 9 siblings and a bunch of cousins and aunts and all that stuff, that is very fucked up. It's to, I'm not gonna use the word rat because I don't want to call anyone that, but to do that to a family member who's in close proximity with you, allegedly, if that's what happened, then I would say it's fucked up. And it makes me wonder if Teresa knows who they are, and if Caroline or somebody around Caroline told Teresa, like a Dolores, told them what happened, and it got back to Teresa.
Could be. I mean, there's a lot of scenarios that one can explore there. I agree. I mean, it would be very hard to forgive a family member if they did that. Luckily, none of my family speaks to me, so I don't have to worry about that.
Well, if that's the Dave, you should be a friend of on the New York City Housewives reboot.
I'm ready for it.
I want to know about that. So, as we're talking about allegations, I have, and because Dave's a journalist, he's going to love this. I have a retraction.
Oh my God, I'm upset. And this is what my heart's been beating out of this. The Jacqueline text is what I'm nervous about. Okay, what's the
Jacqueline
retraction?
Laurita texted me because she heard the episode of my podcast where me and Dave from Behind the Velvet Rope, where he said that a reliable source told him that at the Real Housewives of New Jersey reunion, that Jacqueline allegedly told Teresa that Joe and Melissa contacted someone about Teresa, allegedly. And this is what Jacqueline had to say after listening to my episode. And Jacqueline gave me permission to retract what was said because she wanted to clear the air. She said that I hated that my words are twisted. Okay? Calling the IRS and the feds are two separate things. Everyone thinks it's one and the same. They are two different entities. Explain that the act of calling the feds and reporting things to the IRS are separate things. We don't know when or how the investigation actually started, but there were people that talked once it did. I don't know if redacted. I got this from Dave. I don't know if redacted called the IRS, and if they did, when or at what point that was. It could have been what started the investigation. I do know that when they filed bankruptcy and they tried to withdraw it, that did raise a red flag to the district attorney.
Okay, see, this is what we needed. Jacqueline just gave me so much context. I didn't know that the IRS and the feds were different. I didn't know that. As far as, like what we've all been saying, I didn't know that. I don't know. So, but but that's why I wasn't making those claims on a podcast.
Exactly. So that's why she is saying, in a nutshell, what Jacqueline's saying is, there's a difference between the IRS and the feds in terms of what was allegedly said, and that she felt that her words were definitely twisted. Now, she also said that, you and I have been saying, she doesn't know when this person contacted the feds or the IRS, at what point in the investigation was the phone call made. And that's why she wanted to clear that up, because we all know that Jacqueline knows a lot. Mm-hmm. And without giving too much away from the upcoming Jersey reunion, I'm curious if all of this will be revealed. So we got the timing of Jacqueline Teresa having lunch for 5 hours. We got the timing of Caroline Manzo revealing she knows who did call the feds. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And that's all I'm going to say. What are your thoughts on all of this, Dave?
Well, I love it all because, again, it just shows how much history there is in the group. And that's what I say. I love the history of these housewives. It's why I wouldn't want Jersey to be rebooted. I want to see these women. I want to see Caroline come back one day. I want to see Jacqueline come back one day. I think there's still a lot of things to explore. The Dina of it all, we're still so many questions, right? I'm very interested in it. I do know. And see, it also goes back to, I'm sorry that you had to retract something, but it goes back to trusting your sources, which I will.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't my tea.
No, I know. I will once again say, very important in life that you trust your sources. And some sources are more reliable and in the know than others. And I will say that I don't know, because I haven't heard whether the IRS conversation comes up at the reunion, but I do know that Jacqueline does come up at the reunion, and that some text messages are read out loud that she may or may not have sent. And whether or not that makes it into the episode or not, I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I have heard from some pretty reliable sources that some text messages were read. And that you can trust.
From a trusted source. So one last question before I let you go, Dave Quinn. Andy Cohen just revealed on Two T's in a podcast, Teddy Mellencamp and Tamara Judge podcast.
Love them.
Love them. Teddy, who's also a journalist, Teddy asks all the tough questions. I'm scared to go back on Two T's in the Pod because Teddy goes there. Teddy asked him about Jersey being on pause and can the show survive without Melissa or Teresa? And Andy said that's what they're trying to figure out right now.
Ooh. Oh my goodness.
Now, I'm going to share you my opinion. Mm-hmm. You don't have to share yours if you don't want to.
I'm not afraid.
Ooh, I know that's right. Okay. If you had to choose between Teresa and Melissa, only one of them can go back next season. Who should it be?
I would bring back Melissa and give Teresa and Louis and their blended family a beautiful spinoff series that I can explore Teresa's happiness without being surrounded by all this negativity.
You are the best in the fucking business.
That's what I would do. That's what I would do.
I didn't think about that. Continue, please.
Well, listen, it is not, I'm sure Teresa will tell you right now that she's likely feeling the heat from that last finale, that last episode rather, and all the negativity surrounding Louis' behavior and the claims of hiring a private investigator that now Bo Dietl has walked back and Louis has walked back, and there seems to be a lot of chaos. She was once again in this position where she's being blamed for things that she claims she didn't do. Right back to Strippergate, like she says, right back to the history here over and over again. I don't think it's great for her. I don't think that's a fun experience for her. And while I want Teresa's happiness and her to be successful, she can find that elsewhere. She's a valuable commodity. She doesn't need to put herself in scenarios where she is fighting with family or fighting with people that are trying to bring her down. So I encourage her to believe in her value and to put herself in a position that makes her happier. A Manzo'd with Children or Don't Be Tardy style show could be very successful for Teresa and those girls who are clearly interested in the spotlight and want to be a part of, television and are open for it. I want to see them dating. I want to see them growing. I want to see her happy life and, her relationship with her new sisters-in-law. There's a lot to explore. I don't necessarily need her back in the hot seat trying to pretend to be friends with Margaret when she's never going to be. Or Melissa when she's never going to be. Or Joe when she's never going to be.
I know what
or Jackie Goldschneider when she's never going to be, or or Rachel Fuda when she's never going to be.
You're like Carlos, pretty much the entire cast.
Well, there's such division, and it's very clear that it's that division is just those couches. I don't like housewife shows when I can tell you exactly what the reunion couches are going to be. It's much more interesting when everyone's a little bit in the mix, and I don't really know, where somebody can disagree with you about one thing and agree with you about the other. That's what I want to see. So
yes, and it goes back to old school housewives, where it was sort of like everybody was in the hot seat and you just kind of dealt with it and was able to play. So very interesting, very interesting. I do think Teresa is the only housewife right now that can sustain a spinoff of her family and husband and children and seeing what that life is like. So I do agree with you in terms of that. What is making me having pause is I just don't know if Jersey can continue without Teresa. like I always felt that RHONY cannot continue without Ramona. So that's where my mind is. Although with that being said, everybody is replaceable. That's my cardinal rule on all my shows. So that's why there is something about this. And I think this is a happy medium. I think
Yeah.
I think you put Melissa and Joe on pause.
Oh, okay.
You set up next season to be Teresa's send-off season for her spinoff, because the thing is this, you have to see whether or not the show can survive without a Teresa presence. And I think the only way you can see that is really seeing less of Teresa next season, because she's getting ready for her spinoff. It's sort of like how Kim Zolciak got Don't Be Tardy. Season 5, Kim Zolciak was in the first 5 episodes. And then we introduced Kenya and Portia. You still had Nene and Phaedra and Candy and Cynthia. So when Kim left, which was interesting, the ratings increased because you still had people who was able to carry the load. So that's what's going to have to happen to me.
Well, I understand what you mean. I don't know if she needs a full season to do that. It could be 5 episodes or 3 episodes. I mean, her wedding special actually also could be the episode, if you think about it, to sunset her into her happy ending next chapter. I know what you mean about it. I do think that you're underestimating the importance of Joe Gorga. And I say Joe specifically with no disrespect to Melissa. I do think Melissa's a great housewife and very loved and very respected by the audience. But Joe is the glue that holds those guys together. And
absolutely.
Jersey,
yes.
Those guys will fall apart without Joe. And those guys, there's magic in them. They're not getting paid to be together, and yet they still do. They contribute. They show us a lot of really great stuff. I'm very charmed by their brotherhood in a way and their scenes together, and I think it's a necessary ingredient that makes Jersey special, and that's what I don't want to lose. So I worry that without Joe that won't exist. I don't see no disrespect to him, I don't see Rachel Fuda's husband or Danielle Cabral's husband being the same sort of energy or the glue to bring that team together. But I do think those women are very good. And one other new housewife in next season, you really have a perfect launching pad to see sort of what it could be.
And ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. So let us know in the comments, go on Twitter, #reality with the king, and let us know your thoughts. If you had to choose between Melissa or Teresa to stay, who do you want to stay and who do you want to go? Dave, it's always a pleasure with you, my love, my friend, and my confidant. Let the girls know, and guys and they, where they can find you, follow you, support you, and everything else.
Well, I that's very kind of you. Again, thank you so much for having me. I'm on social media at 9Daves, NINEDAVES, both on Instagram and Twitter. And the book Not All Diamonds and Rosé is available now in paperback. And I'll be going back on tour with some of these broads. So I'll let you know. Keep following. We'll have some good times.
Yes, thank you, my love.
Thank you.